शुद्ध सरल जिनके हृदय है राम उन्हीं के समझो। शबरी के झूठे बेरों को, शबरी के झूठे बेरों को राम खा गए हंसकर। राम नाम के दो अक्षर से तैर गए हैं पत्थर। बिगड़ी बात बना देते हैं राम नाम दो अक्षर। राम नाम के दो अक्षर से तैर गए हैं पत्थर। राम हे राम, राम हे राम, राम हे राम, राम हे राम।
सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verses 1 to 10.
अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः। इदं ज्ञानमुपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागताः। सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च। मम योनिर्महद्ब्रह्म तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम्। सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत। सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः। तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिः अहं बीजप्रदः पिता। सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः। निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्। तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकमनामयम्। सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानघ। रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम्। तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम् तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत सत्वं सुखे संजयति रजः कर्मणि भारत ज्ञानमावृत्य तु तमः प्रमादे संजयत्युत रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्वं भवति भारत रजः सत्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्वं रजस्तथा
Kalyan, you have a question?
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry, yesterday I was not paying much attention. There was some disturbance at home. So,
You know that there is a YouTube channel and you
Yeah.
can always hear it again.
yeah. But if you can, I got a little bit
Hmm.
on the negation and assertion. How do you do it practically? What you were explaining yesterday, I think.
Whenever, for everything, okay, not just for this question, across the board, whenever you hear the word self or Brahman or Atman or God, and that seems like too much of a leap, then you replace that word with the higher goal, whatever a higher goal in life is. So how do you do it practically? You identify in yourself what is the higher reaches of your personality and what are the lower reaches. Okay, this discrimination is known as viveka. You're able to tell the difference between something higher and something lower. So, what is your highest desire? What is your highest aspiration? What is your highest inspiration? That's your high level. And then there's the rest of our personality, we've got all sorts of things going on. So we have to make this discrimination. And using that higher desire, because now it's a higher desire means your mind wants it. So use that higher desire to drop the lower ones. Means you think about the higher one so much that you've kind of crowded out the others. That's the practical way of going about it. So you simple things. If you think about health so much that you no longer want to eat junk food, for instance, or you fill your pantry with so much healthy food that you cannot now buy any junk food because there is so much there. There's no place only to put it. Right? So basically you put so much, it's not just at the thought level. It's the whole thing. It's like surrounding yourself by things that are conducive to your goal, being with people who are conducive to your goal, the lot of it. Because all of these are basically investing thoughts in it. Sometimes it appears to us, we say, think about the goal. It sounds like it's a mental process. It's not just a mental process. It is everything in life is geared so that that thought of the goal is repeated constantly. Because you can't go on saying, no, higher goal, higher goal. No. What will you go on saying? What will you do? Actions are designed like that, emotions are designed like that, thinking is designed like that, environment is designed like that, everything is designed according to.
So let's say practically one of the instruments is morning study, which means I have to get up at 5, which means I have to sleep early. But my wife says, no, let's go for a late night movie, which starts at 9:30 or 10 and gets over by 12. And I can't get up in the morning. So how do I replace that?
I hope you're not replacing wife. Don't start like that.
Not that
How often does your wife tell you to go for a late night movie? It will be maximum twice a month.
Yeah.
Then where? I mean, like, she also has a life, She's not taking you to the movies. She has to get up in the morning and do hundreds of things. Once in a while, she'll say, let us go for a late night movie. Go, no. Then Sunday you sleep a little more. Tell us Saturday night we'll go, okay? Because then Sunday I'll get up early, but I'll sleep a little more in the afternoon. Do compromise. These are practical ways of doing it. Everybody around us cannot always want what we want. One of the most, now that you brought me to one of my favorite topics, one of the most difficult things I notice for Indians is negotiation. We do not know how to handle discord. The only way we know how to handle difference of desires is let's just maintain some distance. कि उनके घर ज्यादा नहीं जाना है, ज्यादा जाओगे तो फिर झगड़ा हो जाएगा. This is across the board. I've lived in all parts, I mean, not all parts, in various parts of the country. And across the board, I hear this. That don't associate too much, नहीं तो झगड़ा हो जाए. Basically, what does it mean? That the moment there is some dissonance, I don't know what to do with it. So I have to run away. So I never, no Indian ever meets discord head on. You want X, I want Y, let us sit down and work this thing out. It's not there in our culture. So when there is difference of thing, we have to negotiate our ways. Because there are similarity, right? You both want to be married. That is similar. Now you want to get up morning, do morning study. She wants to go for a movie. Negotiate your way through this.
Okay,
I can
okay.
give you tips because I have the same issues at home.
Okay.
Not that he wants to go for late night movies. He never wants to go. But the thing is, hardly any of our spouses are interested in what we are interested in. Hardly. And yet
Very
you
true.
have to live with them, what should I say? In not just harmony, but you enjoy the relationship. Why are you in a relationship if you don't enjoy it? Right? So negotiate your way through this. Okay, I agree to this. Do you agree to this? We do this so often now that it's become so fast for us that it takes about 30 seconds to resolve it. Because will you do X? No, I won't. I'll do Y. Will you do Y? About 30 seconds to resolve this thing. Because it's just become so. Once when we did it in front of somebody, they were like going like this and they said, okay, finish now. Your fight is over. Yeah, it's over now.
Very lucky you are, Janki.
No. It's not lucky. It is years of work. Please, nothing happens by luck.
Okay.
Yeah. And
To put in that effort, yes.
yes, put in the original effort. That is what Farokh often says. He says, when you guys get anything, it's karma. If I get it, it's luck. So we can't say luck anymore. He knows just enough Vedanta that he can throw it back to us whenever he feels like it. He knows just enough. So we have to negotiate our way through life. I mean, just like you do in office, right? You use all these skills in office. In fact, I think corporate life, you have to tell people 1 hour in the week, nobody. Close the door. Good idea. See, mine is also closed. Nobody comes in. New maids sometimes try to come in. I just don't look at them. If you don't look at them, they eventually realize their desire is not going to be fulfilled by this method. So it won't work. So corporate life is a great, what should I say, a great preparation for sadhana. You are forced to go to work every day, whether you like it or not. It will force discipline on you. You're forced to coordinate with people, whether you like them or not. It will force cooperative endeavor on you. You're forced to shut up when you want to speak. It will get Sanyam on you. It's a great preparation for sadhana. It's teaching you all these things. So same thing you do there, you bring home. Okay? You have to see how to work this out. How do we all get what we want? Because if one of us is left without getting what we want, that person is going to sabotage something somewhere else. So everybody has to get what they want. Now you figure out how does this work. And that includes my own mind. My own mind can sabotage something somewhere else. So I am just one of the pawns that I'm playing with.
Okay, Janki.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
You don't look very satisfied. I'll tell you your next question. Shall I tell you your next question once you think of this? You say, isn't all this very manipulative?
No, I'm not thinking it like that.
Not like that? Okay,
I'm
fine.
only
Somebody
thinking that it
needs to ask.
requires effort.
No, got it. That nobody can save you from Kalyan. That effort is always the problematic area in this. So all the
Sure.
best.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now let's see. Mona Sirvai. Are you new, Mona? Who else is new?
Yes, I just met Mahesh yesterday and
Okay. You're the famous Mona.
I'm
Yes.
not at all famous, but
No,
yeah.
Mahesh told me that he was speaking to someone, to Mona, and she may join the class. So.
Yeah. I joined the group and all. So thank you.
Okay, great. Welcome to the class. So as you can see, it's an interactive class. If something is not clear, please feel free to ask. We are currently doing the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and we are learning a very important point, which is purity itself. We're not learning what is purity, we're learning about the problem with purity. Why is Vedanta not for purity? Sounds ridiculous, right? Who would not be for? But that's what he is saying. Okay, don't blame me because I only read what the text says. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll come to that in a minute. Let me see what are the questions here, if any. Bharat, for other 28 days, make her do morning studies with you. Negotiate this way. Bharat, now you realize why you are a bachelor. Once you get married, you will realize how much of this you can actually execute. Ravi Chavra, you cannot make a person do something of your own liking. The desire and motivation has to come from within. Right. The desire and motivation has to come from within, but it is not entirely untrue that you can make people do what you like. You just have to pay the price. The price is negotiable. You're asking a person to do something for you that they don't want you to do. They don't want to do. What are you willing to do that you don't want to do? That I don't want to do. I don't want to do anything I don't like. I just want the other person to do things they don't like. That doesn't work. That is why we feel people will not do it. 9 out of 10 times people will. They also want to be with us. They don't have a monopoly. We want to be with them and they don't want to be with us. No, they also want to be with us. So 9 out of 10 times they figure out also, they are not stupid. They also figure out कि थोड़ा बहुत करना पड़ता है. You ask any husband, he will tell you. करना पड़ता है. Every husband will say that. So whether or not you study Vedanta, it is not an option to have cooperative endeavor in this world. You cannot live with anybody. You cannot work with anybody. You cannot be friends with anybody if you do not learn how to work together, how to be together. So cooperative endeavor is not like an optional thing in life. It is just a fact of life. When we study Vedanta, we get this notion that we are doing something extraordinary by doing karma. We're doing karma. Hello, if you don't do karma in this world, you will be stagnant. You will go down the drain. Karma over here is only teaching us how to do it. But it has to be done all the time. It's a non-negotiable in life. I mean, non-negotiable means you can choose not to, but you're basically choosing to go down the drain if you do. Dr. Vijay Sabharwal, this name also looks a little new. Are you new too? If you're saying anything, you're muted, so we can't hear. Vijay Sabharwal? Okay. I realize I get only a 50% answer rate from people. I don't know why. I appear a little frightening, I think.
Yes, madam. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Today I'm getting 100% answer rate. Thank you. So you're new, right? So as you heard, we are doing Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. We are on verse 6. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This is a place where we come to learn. So don't feel that, oh, everybody knows everything. If they knew it, they wouldn't be in the class. So please feel free to ask whatever is not clear. I assume you are Prashant's friend since he is saying that you are new to the class. Okay, so we are on verse 6. Now, everybody, Ravi Chabra, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question which may not be relevant to this chapter, but still you can ignore it if you feel it is not relevant. My question is that Rajas, Tamasic, and Sattvic, we keep applying these three to various things, thought, actions, etc., etc. So, could you briefly explain the reason why these three are explained or applied to so many of them? Ideas, thought, action, etc., etc. Thank you.
Okay, so the reason we do that is because as part of the whole purpose of spiritual sadhana is to reach the self. What keeps us from the self is impurities, is desires. Now, when you actually start doing the sadhana, can you switch your video on because it's easier for me to have a conversation with somebody I can see. And also I know when other people are talking to you. So can you switch your video on or is there some reason that that's not possible? Not there. Okay. Thank you. So the reason we do spiritual sadhana is to reach the self. The barrier to reaching the self is our impurity. What is our impurity?
Vasanas.
Vasanas. Okay, so what prevents us from reaching the self is our vasana. So far, so good, right? Now, right, so far, so good. Now, when we start this whole process of purifying ourselves, we fall into various misunderstandings. One type of misunderstanding is known as tamas, one type is known as rajas, and where we have to keep is to the path of sattva. All right? So, why is every aspect of life analyzed with them is to show you the wrong way of doing something and the right way of doing something. It's a fantastic tool to help us in our self-analysis. To say, okay, so now this is going off track. This way or that way. And this is the right way to do it. So that's why each aspect they have used, it's very charitable of them so that so that becomes easier for us to understand. Okay? So, now, all along in your spiritual sadhana, you have been told to keep away from tamas, which is ignorance, inertia, laziness, to keep away from rajas, which is desire and agitation and competition and going crazy working, right? All along you're told to do that and fix yourself onto the straight and narrow path, which is known as sattva. As you do that, you will become better and better at this, right? So the tamas, which you are going deeply into tamas, will come closer and closer. Means you will, of course, be tamasic, but you'll be closer to the straight and narrow path. Rajas also you will go off, but you will not go off so much. You will be closer and closer to the correct path. So instead of being on a straight, narrow line of sattva, you will be closer and closer and closer and closer until you do stay on the straight and narrow path. When you are on that straight and narrow path, you will get amazing benefits. You will have clarity of thought. You will immediately understand things. You will have endless happiness because you're doing the right thing, right? You're on that straight and narrow path. You're on the razor's edge. You're doing everything perfectly. And the consequences, the results are all becoming perfect. Now, what Krishna is telling us is, please understand that this was that you are walking on is
Bondage.
Illusion.
कोई सुन रहा है क्या?
Razor's
What are you
edge.
walking on?
Razor's edge.
Okay, but what are you walking on? Okay, so don't say not, say what it is, Deepraj. What are you walking on? Mona, you're my only hope. I find sometimes new people seem to listen better. So you are walking on truth, are you?
You're walking on the path of life,
Very good.
which is where you are, but it is transitory, no?
Wait, don't do too much. Just
Okay, you're just
got the
walking
first
on the
part
path
right.
of life.
You're
Okay.
walking on the path. Now, Deepraj, path is not
The goal.
the goal. This is the problem with purity. This is the problem with clarity. This is the problem with happiness. You have settled down. Remember, if you are on the right road, but you're not moving, you will still get run over. Being on the right road is not enough. Continue. That is what he is saying. Now we are struggling. Oh, my rajas, oh, my tamas, we are going on. The thing is, at some point, that rajas and tamas will become very little, and the sattva will be overflowing. Please remember at that time that
This is just
That is not the goal.
yes, you're still on the path. Keep walking, keep walking. That's what he's saying. So
Like
he
it
said,
says, जीवन चलने का नाम.
yes, keep walking until you have reached the self. You have to keep on going forward. Bharat, how is bondage not right? Of course, it is bondage, but you have to follow the line of thought.
One question.
What was the
Sorry to
line of
interrupt.
thought? Was there is a path you're walking on. There is tamas, there is rajas. You will be taking diversions every now and then. Slowly, those diversions will start reducing and you will be on the path. Now, the problem is when you see that the diversions have reduced, you will believe that you have reached the end. You haven't. Keep walking. Keep walking. If you sit down, that does become, that is your bondage. That is correct. But you have to follow the line of it. Only Mona was following because she's new. Because when she's new, she'll follow. After 5 classes, same condition. Straight, go on straight. It is a path. Sattva is the path. Sattva is not the goal. Most people forget this. And so, having reached a good stage, they all just settle down. You will see this in your own life where you will find people who are good but putting no effort to get any better. Because what do? They compare to others and say, oh, look at that person, I am so much better. Or they say, oh, I am so happy. Ab aur kya karna hai? This is all nonsense going on. If you haven't realized the self, then our job is to keep walking. If you don't walk, you sit down. It is called the bondage of sattva. Okay, so he said there were 3 gunas. Of these, sattva being stainless is luminous and healthy. Luminous is clarity. Healthy means every aspect of your personality is well tuned up. You're physically fit, you're emotionally pure, you're intellectually brilliant. Everything is tuned up. You're very good. Then he says, it binds through attachment to happiness and attachment to knowledge, O Anagha. O Anagha means without sin. So you are without sin. You're without tamas, without rajas. Those have reduced. But you're still in bondage. So please proceed on that path. Okay,
But
verse
isn't
6.
rajas related to action? Because we relate rajas to action and we continue this action. So are you saying that rajas can be positive and negative also? Is it like that?
Rajas, last time also you said is related to action. It's not related to action, it's related to desire-ridden action. You're
Okay.
performing impulsive, desire-ridden actions. That's Rajas. You know when people do? They do so little work and they make so much noise about it. That's Rajas. The Sattvic are the people who are in action. It's called transaction because there is no impulse or there is no desire propelling it. It is just a perfect action. So it's a highly effective action. These are the kind of people who can do a lot of work and yet appear like they're doing nothing. So action cannot be it. It is desire-ridden, impulsive, just crazy, too much activity and very little result. That is called rajas. It's called activity because the person is doing it. Chill, they are. Some people are, you call 3 people home for dinner. Oh my God, I have a party today. I've got so much work to do. Somebody else calls 20 people over for dinner and just treats it like any other day of their life. So Sattvic people are able to work without stress, without agitation. Rajasic are, they're like popcorn on a hot tawa. They're showing action, not doing it. Okay? You're able to see the difference in these two. Right. Anybody else on verse 6 or shall we go to verse 7? Verse 7. Rajo ragatmakam vedhi Trishna sanga samudbhavam Tannibadnati kaunteya Karma sangena dehinam Rajo ragatmakam vidhi Trishna sanga samudbhavam Tannibadnati kaunteya Karma sangena dehinam. Rajo because of the visarga. So rajaha ragatmakam. Ragatmakam coming from raga, coming from desire. This is the crucial part of rajas. It's coming from raga, desire. Vidhi. Know that, vidhi means know that. So know that rajas is of the nature of raga, of nature of desire. Trishna sanga samudbhava. Trishna sanga samudbhava. From it comes udbhava, means arises. Trishna and sanga. What is Trishna? Trishna is
Thirst.
Burning desire.
Thirst.
correct. Shankara says it is aprapta abhilasha. Whatever you have not obtained, there's an abhilasha for that. the longing for what you don't have, the craving, the desiring, the thirst for something you don't have. That is called Trishna. And what is Sangha? Sangha is what you do have, you are terribly attached to. So everything you have becomes something to be attached to hold on to be possessive about, to say, this is mine. You guys, you don't come anywhere near it. That is why in the Christian church, they used to be very against property. Even here, we had a movement against property. Because that thappa na, mera thappa lag jaye. Some people are against marriage on the grounds that mera thappa lagna chahiye. So there is all these various, what should I say, derived movements, but he's not against the act of it. Like, he's not against the marriage, saying, kyun apne thappa lagaya. So, you know, the hippie movement and all, they had this concept. So what Vedanta is saying is not all these, don't have property, don't have marriage, don't have all this. It's the same. Because what we are against is not the property or the marriage or whatever else you may acquire in this world, but that deep sense of possession in it. To be dispossessed in your possession. Like, nobody's saying don't have a cupboard full of clothes. Why should you not? Please have a cupboard full of clothes. But if somebody needs some clothes and you cannot give any, even though you have a cupboard full, there's something less than perfect there, isn't it? So that capacity in us to not want to be so possessive about everything we have. Nobody can speak to my spouse. If anybody speaks to my spouse, see what I do. Turn the house upside down. This kind of high degree of possessiveness. Even with children, I will tell my child what career to take. That is possessiveness. Every time I call somebody my own, in India, one of our great hobbies is, any guest comes into our house, we have to tell them what to eat. We are incapable of thinking, here is an adult human being. He knows what he wants or does not want to eat, what is right for him to eat or not. No, I am the guest. I am the host here. You have come to my house. Now you are my captive. You will eat what I give, what I say you have to eat. I'm full. I can't eat anymore. नहीं खाना ही पड़ेगा. ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हो? ले लो बाबा क्यों कर रहे हो? मेरा पेट भर गया. अब मैं और नहीं खा सकती. Some people plead and they say, मुझे डायबिटीज है, मुझे नहीं चाहिए. नहीं थोड़े से शुगर से क्या होगा? All this is rajas. Possessiveness. I will tell you whether you should eat it or not, when you should eat it, how you should eat it. अब मेरे घर आए हो तो पूरे के पूरे कैप्टिव बन गए हो. And we think this is love. We do this to our parents, we do this to our children, we do it to our guests, we do it to everybody. I mean, we are indiscriminate. It doesn't matter, right? When anyone comes anywhere close to me, pakdo isko. That sense of this is mine. Yes, have some more for my sake. But why should I eat for your sake? I will eat for my sake. Why is eating for your sake? See, this was all okay at another historical period where everybody said no because it was polite to say no. So, you know, when they were not full also, they would say, nahi, theek hai. Why was it polite to say no? Because at that point, our country had become poor. So when you went to somebody's house, they had too little in their house, and you had already had too little in your house. So out of great generosity, you shared what you had, knowing fully well that it was less for us. Even then, you're giving it. And the other person said no because he knew it was less for you, because it was less for him also. So it was a very noble gesture, because you knew the person was starving and that person knew that you were starving. So with great generosity of heart, you'd say, no, thank you, even if you were starving. Now those days have gone. Now he is 150 kgs, you are 150 kgs, and you're still feeding each other. What sense does that make? For my sake, Lulu. So those days have gone. Now it's the days of everybody's overeating. If they themselves are saying, no, I'll eat a little less, say, great, eat a little less. I mean, now when people come to your house, don't go to the other extreme and say, thoda sa hi khao. They will get a shock of their lives. So don't go around saying things like that. Thoda sa hi lena. Jada mat lo. Don't do all that. The thing is not all these actions. The idea is the possessiveness. That I will decide the right amount for you. I will decide everything for you. You have no astitva of your own. You have no existence of your own separate from me. So whatever we do have, we are holding on to. Even things we don't want, we hold on to. Everybody in this country has things that they don't want, that which they're holding on to. And how do we know? Because every country, every home in this country, whether they have anything else or not, even the poorest homes always have
storage area.
a mala. Storage, so everybody will have mala. You know what a mala is? The things which you don't want to use, but you don't want to give, you put up there because anyway, it's out of sight and out of mind. At Diwali time, if you are very particular, you take all those things out, you dust them and you put them back in. This mala invention in the house has become another hoarding thing. Everybody has it. If you get an interior designer in your house who's supposed to design for your beautiful house, she will also ask you, where will you like your mala? The storage up somewhere. What is that up? You can't access it. So what is it there for? So Vedanta is not against an action. It is only drawing our attention to an
Possessiveness.
attitude of possessiveness. So Sangha, this attachment to what I have, I will not let it go. And this Trushna, the Bhilasha for the Aprapta, what is not obtained, I have to still obtain. It can be anything.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sankeji, this with talking of Trishna or thirst, I believe this is the same word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trishna and now, is Trishna or thirst for the self is also Rajas? Because there is a sattvic element when we're talking of self. So thirst for self has a sattvic element, but we would still broadly put it under Rajas.
Yes, we'll put it under Rajas because of Trishna. It's always Trishna. It's always talking about an attitude. So when you're Rajasic and you shift from saying, I want money to I want self, the same Trishna, that same, what should I say, that same thirst, that same attitude of thirst, you bring through religion. So you can put the object of your Trishna as God, and then you will have the same problems in the world. That is how some people are longing for their God and fighting their attachment to their religion, so fighting with all the other religions. The same rajas which they had in the world, they bring to the spiritual realm. Because when we talk about these attitudes, internally everybody makes them into an action. But it's the same attitude. If you bring two spirituality, a thirst, it's still rajasic. But that is allowed. Allowed in the sense, at least you have taken one step forward. You have changed the object of your thirst. Now let's see if we can handle the thirst itself. That's next.
And also, Janki, I forgot to mention Dr. Vijay Sabharwal, who joined today. Actually, I recommended, and like you, he is also helping people in improving the vision in life. But the only difference is he's an eye surgeon, and you're a philosopher. And he's also my neighbor,
Oh, okay.
where you came recently.
Oh, okay. Nice. Next time I come there, Dr. Sabharwal, hopefully I will meet you. So, yeah. Okay, so okay with the Trishna thing?
Janki ji,
Gentlemen, please come over. It will be very nice to meet you and hear you.
Thank you. When I come to Delhi, I stay with Arun. So I'm sure next time we will meet.
Thank you. It was very nice.
So, yes, Milind?
Janki ji, these 2 points mentioned, these are actually Kanchan and Kamini, no? You can say, no? This longing is Kanchan, no?
Yeah, but don't put it together. It's sort of different. Don't put it together because unnecessary confusion. There are just various ways of classifying the wrong attitudes we hold. Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva is one. There's so many different ways of doing it. So it just causes confusion if you put them together. Just understand it as different classifications.
Okay.
So, know Rajas to be of the nature of passion, the source of thirst and attachment. Please note over here, there is no reference to any type of action. It's all attitudes. It is never telling you do this or don't do this. It is just the attitude of longing and the attitude of holding on. You can be holding on to anything. You could be holding on to your post, in your voluntary organization. So does that mean you should resign from your post? No, it doesn't mean you should resign from your post. It's an attitude. Are you hanging on? Are you longing? It's these attitudes that we have to be attuned to notice that, oh, I seem to have this longing going on, or I seem to have this hanging on going on. To just notice this. Because why do I have to notice it? Because it is like saying that notice that you put on 1 kg. Because that means that you have done something wrong in nutrition and then you have to go back and correct that. So the quicker you pick these things up in yourself, the less you subject yourself to
disturbances.
very good. To agitation, Asha, to discomfort, yes, to disturbances. So as long as you have these qualities, expect agitation to come to you. So the moment you notice it, take cognizance. Because down this road is only agitation, just more and more and more. That is the bondage of Rajas. Tad nibadnati. Tat nibadnati. That bandhan karta hai. Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra, O son of Kunti. That is what binds you. To what? Karma Sangha. This is what forces you into action. Now you see why action comes into the picture. When there is longing, when there is attachment, you are forced to do something for the fulfillment of that longing. You think, everybody thinks that they are forced to go to work. I have to go to work. They talk like that. What makes it so that you have to do something? It is Rajas that makes it so. There is either a Trishna or a Sangha. You are a free creature. Our great souls in this country worked very hard for us to get independence. Now nobody can force you to do anything. And yet you experience being forced. This is the strange thing about it. We are all independent, right? We do whatever we want. And yet we can't. We're forced. That's our bondage. Why are we so forced? Because there's a longing or there is an attachment. If there were no longing and if there were no attachment, there's no force. Think about it. What am I forced to do? Think about anything that according to you you're forced to do. Oh, I'm forced to wash the vessels because it's COVID and my wife gets very angry if I don't wash the vessels. So I'm forced to wash them. I don't want to wash them, but I have to wash them. Think about it. You're not forced. It is your own desire. It is your own attachment that makes you bound to do these things. I have to do something? No, you never have to do. Unless you have a desire. Oh, my children, I have to take care of them. Leave them. Take them to the railway station and leave them. Can you do it? Please, I'm not recommending anything that you will do this thing, okay? I don't know, Mona, please be careful. Dr. Sabarwal, please be careful. You all will think I'm recommending everybody go to the railway station and leave their children. No, I'm saying it's not possible, not because of somebody preventing you from doing it, but because you can't. It's just a mental attitude we're talking about over here. Suppose we tell Mahesh, don't do any IT work. Can he execute this? Suppose we tell Deep Raj, you're not allowed to do any mathematics from today. Can he execute this? So who's holding a gun to their heads and telling them, do this? Nobody is. You're free. You're always free to give up any portion of your life. And yet, we can't do it because of the bondage of Rajas. Please, again and again, we are not recommending that anyone leaves it. That is not a recommendation. You have to do it. But the point is, you don't have to do it. That's why it gets complicated. Philosophy gets very complicated. It's like on one hand you say you have to do it, one hand you say you don't have to do it. Make up your mind, do I have to do it or not do it? It is true that you have to do it. It's also true that you don't have to do it. Now, what can I do? And that is the truth. And on Vyaspeeth, the truth has to be spoken. The more you let someone free, the more harmonious the interaction. Referring to my kids, that's correct. Except you realize that when you let people free, you aren't letting them free. They already are free. Only I am beginning to realize that they are free. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, because when you were talking about the children, I mean, when they are little, then obviously physically you need to nurture them because it's the whole human biology that they have, you need to nurture them wherever they are. But I found that as they grew up, when I let them just, when they were able to be who they are, and I wasn't clinging on or holding on, we actually came closer than we were, even when we were little, when they was dependent on me for those physical needs. Those I acknowledge that when they're little, obviously, they will need those physical.
Physical and emotional.
Yeah. Of course.
Yes. But the thing that we have to understand, yeah, correct. So that's an example of this. So what we have to understand from this today is the attitude of longing and the attitude of holding on. When you have these two things, the result of this has to become
Sorrow, agitation.
Education.
okay, the effect of this, correct, that is true. So therefore, what happens?
Oh, you're forced to act.
You're forced to act. You're forced to act. That is why the Rajasic people are always talking about how they have to do this and they have to do that. So Rajas is very easy to understand. There is no problem in understanding Rajas, I think. All clear about Rajas? Any questions?
Sattva is also thin parda, no? Parda.
What?
Sattva also is thin curtain, no?
Sattva is a curtain, yes. Yes. That is the bondage, right?
Sorry, Jankiji?
That's the bondage that you are
Yeah.
that they're still quoting.
Yeah.
So Rajas is the attitude. Remember, Tamas, Rajas, Sattva is a classification of,
Thoughts.
Vasanas.
you can't classify something you cannot understand. Vasanas is beyond human understanding. So Tamas, Rajas, Sattva is a classification of
Thoughts.
Human nature.
Mental temperaments.
Of mental temperaments, of your thoughts. So please do not associate all these things. Don't say sattvic action or sattvic or tamasic action, or don't associate with action. Associate it with the thought. That kind of thinking. Okay, which is driven by longing and hanging on to something, clinging on to it. So that kind of thinking forces a person into various types of actions. He's forced to do something because he is longing for it. Okay. Anybody who wants to make $1 billion is forced into action because he wants $1 billion. There is this very nice story about two Greek philosophers. So one of them was in the court. He was a court philosopher. And then he one day was walking down the street and he found the philosopher Aristophanes sitting under a tree and eating beans. Beans means poor man's food. So he was eating beans quietly under a tree. So the court philosopher told Aristophanes that, "Oh, Aristophanes, if you knew how to flatter the king, you wouldn't be eating these beans." So Aristophanes said to him, "If you knew how to eat beans, you wouldn't have to flatter the king." So if you are longing to be in the court, then you have to flatter the king. But if you have no longing to be in the court, you don't have any of those burdens in life. Now, Rajasic people just can't see this because they're driven by that Trishna and the sun. And that's the bondage to action. Now, this we have to differentiate from Rajas. The Rajasic people, take a Rajasic mother. She's very attached to her children. So she's like a helicopter parent. She's running all around them. She's keeping an eye on everything they do. Okay? That is a Rajasic mother. What is a Tamasic mother do? She couldn't care less what the child is eating, whether it's doing well, not doing well, couldn't care less. So when we start thinking about these things, say, "Oh, I must not be Rajasic," we unfortunately fall into the next category, which is tamasic. We become negligent. So even when you're doing karma over here, right, you do volunteer work and say, what are you getting so worked up? Whether the university comes or doesn't, well, what difference is it going to make? The world is what it is, and the world will be what it is. So don't worry about it. It's okay. We just do our best, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The moment you say something like this, people become tamasic. Acha, it doesn't work. It's okay. Chalo, let us rest. So when we misunderstand this, we forget that our choice is not tamas and rajas. Our choice is sattva and tamas and rajas. You have to move from both of these into sattva. Otherwise, it's very easy, right? Oh, I shouldn't be a helicopter parent. Okay, I'm going to Singapore. Let these kids do whatever they want. No, you can't do that either. That would become tamasic. Deep Raj, Rajasic people can see this for 1 hour in class, yes, because their sattva is up. So in morning studies, whenever we are Vedanta, we can see all the truths. Then when the Rajas rises, all gone out of the window. Correct. Okay, so that's it for today.